20 minutes, and I don't think
Right.
we're gonna have time for that.
No,
So
I'm gonna keep my interjections to a minimum during the TWAB reading. So, um, as far as the graphic that I'm getting done, it's gonna be like all three of us as one, like in one graphic.
mhm.
Um, is there like I was gonna have him put like a UK like on my hat. I was gonna wear a hat and have him put UK on it. Was there anything like any like little touches you guys wanted? Like I was thinking of Chad's little Pokemon up there on
Yeah,
his
Yeah.
PC.
shucks,
Yeah.
the Shuckle.
Uh,
It's either the Shuckle or Siva. You could Siva-ify the Shuckle. I'll have to figure that one out on my own. But yeah, Shuckle's fine.
yeah,
He's the homie. He is my favorite mon.
and then I was gonna have our shirts have like the Conqueror's Corner logo or something on them, or
Yeah.
if Jared has a shirt that he wants, like his Cincinnati shirt that he likes, he could wear a Conqueror's Corner hat or something,
Yeah.
like a hat with the CC on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of just put one little like touch
Yeah.
that's like individual to each of us.
I'd probably
Yeah.
prefer like I don't know if it's like going too far, but like have like a whiskey glass in my hand or something like that.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be good.
Um,
yeah. All right. Well, pre-show's up.
Jared's got Jared's got a glass. Ryan's got a hat, and I got the shucks.
I was
I
gonna
was I
make
was
Chad
about to.
hold a controller like that
Hey,
person
hey,
in the
hey, hey,
picture.
hey.
That'd be hilarious.
Once I'm done with the decks on this new Polka Man, I'm gonna have to get some M&K practice with the hammer throws.
Dude, I've been doing it nonstop for like last 2 weeks. I've just been
So you
playing
got to
Titan.
like unlock the little switch. Yeah.
Yep. Spot.
It took me a bit to do it for the 2-4 punches on the hunter, where you could get
Oh.
the the heavy weapon one, the boop gun to the
Mm-hmm.
switch shoot, and then fast enough to get the punch in. Because you got to do first punch, bang 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 punch. Because the exotic gloves, your second punch has the extra hit.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get one punch. You only have 3 seconds to get 3 shots in before you do the second punch for the massive damage, and you just that timing's so hard, especially on a controller. It was nuts, but it felt so good watching a yellow bar just get instantly turned into nothingness.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure like it's gonna be like crazy good because if it breaks one of the encounters, he'll just disable it.
Yeah, yeah. Because we need at least because if we alternate the throwing, right? I'll throw it and then you'll throw it, and that'll make it so I pick it up and then throw it, right?
Yeah. So like if one hammer falls down next to us, we both technically pick it up and throw it again. But like
So like if Zen walks up to us and doesn't know how to do it, he can just toss his on the ground in front of us or
yeah.
next to us, and then we'll
Yep.
just pick it up and keep.
Yep.
That's so gross.
Yep.
Yeah, but
No.
that
I
you're
imagine that'll
you're
get touched.
yeah. I mean, you're practicing the one where you throw it like onto Riven's foot, right? Where it like bounces up and down,
Yeah. I'm
and you can
actually
just keep
like
on.
doing the method like a solo player. Like you can,
Yeah, yeah,
if like this depends on what I'm doing, but like
yeah.
tractor cannon
If you
and then
get
a 1-2
yeah,
punch, and then hammer. Like
yeah, because if you get that right, you can take down the ogre in a one phase in Goa,
yeah.
like the second encounter. You
Mm-hmm.
could do that. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
That's so dumb. It's great. It's so fun. I love seeing dumb stuff like that. It's fun.
Every now and then with
I'm
the
gonna
hydras, like I could fly over top of them, and then shotgun throw the hammer down, and then like how they're kind of flat on top.
Yeah, it bounces
It'll
up a little
bounce a
bit.
couple times, and then yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it'll do, and then just hit them a couple. Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Did you see how the NFL is screwing up at Rooney Rule?
There it is.
Like really bad. Yeah, that's not good.
Well, my mic wasn't set on the Yeti. How's it sound now? It is now.
Oh.
I don't know if it sounds any different.
Yeah,
Is it better?
I don't think Discord changed you.
I don't think it did either, but
Yeah.
just in case. Because now it's
You guys hear me
definitely
okay?
set. Yeah.
Yeah, you sound a lot better.
All right. All right.
Jared, are you live?
Yep.
Yeah, it has been for a little
I'll
while
send
while
it.
we talking about throwing hammers.
Mm-hmm.
Like a
Hammer
couple of
time.
broskies. Oh, man.
$46. My gosh.
Are you rolling 4 die right now? Is that what you meant?
46.
Oh, the number 4. I
Yeah.
heard 4 and then the letter
Oh.
D and then 6.
Yeah. No, I'm not rolling any die. No. Oh. You see how much they're reportedly trying to keep all the Bungie employees there? Like $1.2 billion going to the employees.
Jesus, out of the 3.6?
So that's why they were all tweeting out Bungie in all caps.
Yeah, there's like they're trying to work out something to retaining, like probably like making
Jared,
lock into subcontracts.
Dude, did you make that thumbnail?
No, I pulled it out TWAB.
Okay.
No, okay. I need to go into this.
He put
file.
but dude, that looks good though.
Into the drive.
Oh, it's not on the drive. I just keep it on
Ah,
my
dang
computer
it.
now.
I'll see it later then. I'll see it on the thing. We'd be good.
Put that in the drive so I can upload it for our
Okay.
like the podcast stuff.
Yeah, I'll put it afterwards.
I mean, don't do it now. Just do it whenever.
Jesus Christ.
You think that SMG is going to be kinetic or in the kinetic slot?
It is. It's Freezy Boy. If you look at it, it's in the top slot, and it's stasis. The one that they show has headstone on it.
Oh, I meant the exotic one.
Ooh, it's technically non-elemental because it's not ruinous, but it's that same thorn style damage.
Yeah.
Which is non-elemental at the moment.
They haven't. So it's just going to be interesting to see because I feel like that weapon, I forgot the name of it already, but that weapon, and then the one that shoots the worm.
Oh, okay. So the Osteostriga is the submachine gun.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember the grenade launcher though, because that one looked fun too.
There was too
It
much
looked very
stuff there.
Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the absolutely hilarious tweet that went out of the person refusing to use that gun because it shoots animals?
No. That's fine, dude. You don't have
So the person that sent it is they do a Destiny lore podcast,
Uh-huh.
but they have made their account private to where you can't like go in and see it.
Yeah.
So it's turned into like a copy pasta.
Uh-huh.
And the tweet, the idea of launching a worm, regardless of what it is or where it originates, at an enemy is horrific. I don't care if it's part of the enemy. It's unnecessary and you've removed the worm's agency and choice. Enjoy your worm cannon. I will not be using it.
Well, first of all, based on lore, it is an invasive parasitic species that literally thrives on consuming their host completely. It's not it's they I mean, as long as they feel like hosting a ton of tapeworms in themselves, then I will not feel them being hypocritical in any way. It's not it's hardly an animal.
I think
It's
that's
not
the
even like an
woke.
animal. It's
That's woke Twitter for you.
what what's the word? I'm missing the word. The word that we
When
use to like when describing humans versus animals. Like we since we have a thinking, feeling
Mastos.
brain. No, 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 no.
Oh, so a parasite only knows how to be a parasite. It can only like thrive off a
Yeah, yeah,
host. It can't.
sentient. But the
Okay.
worms are sentient. So they're an enemy. They're not animals.
You should get on
They
Twitter and
didn't
argue with them.
they didn't have that. They're not having a choice. They choose out of their own sentience to do what they do. And it's our choice to kill them.
I'm going to kill them all for Chad.
Yeah.
But anyways,
And that person.
I think it clearly shows that they was in development of that corrosive class, and they didn't.
Oh,
show
yeah. It got cut.
Yeah.
Did you guys? I know I didn't touch on it a lot last week because there was so much. Did you guys know that initially in the D1 original story, there was Old Chicago, Europa, and the Dreadnought were all part of that, and the EDZ. All those are supposed to be in like original launch D1.
That's quite a map. That map's all over the place. That's crazy.
Yep. All right. I'll do my spiel, then hit the intro music, and then Jared, you come in after.
Okay.
My voice is crapping out again, and it really sucks. All right. I'm going to get us started. Everybody good?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We are live for episode 46 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. My name is not Ryan Fox. I am currently in the middle of an ice storm, but we still found time to podcast with my fire team, Jared.
Yeah, I'm out there with you now. I stormed just a little bit farther north, and it's something I haven't seen before any time in my life. I am literally surrounded by stasis. At least I'm not getting shattered over right now.
Oh, that's a good one. And the chronicler himself, Chad Ocero.
Yeah, it hit a real chilly 37 this morning in my car. I bundled up and was ready for the drive to work, and it was bad.
I hate that guy in his warm weather. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you remember that you can take us on the road with Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast services. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, click the bell. I think that's what they always say. And then unsubscribe and resubscribe, and then do that 2 more times. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Join the Discord server so we can all look at Jared's God rolls when he posts them every week. And man, it is quite a packed week. So we'll get right into it right after our intro music from our boy Link at Link of Time G on Twitter.
hello everyone, and my goodness, did we have a heck of a week in the Destiny world here. We have an amazing TWAB, but before we get into that, just a quick note on that. Bungie was bought this week. On Monday, we sitting around working, and I was check Twitter, and man, Sony has purchased Bungie, and just something that kind of just blew my mind. My mind was spinning. I didn't know what this meant for the future of Destiny, the future of other Bungie games that we've been loving for the last 20 years of our lives. Guys, do you remember what you was doing when you seen the news?
I got the phone notification that Jared sent, and I then at that point decided that my silver purchasing is going to decrease by a very large percentage from this point forward.
I was very, very, very into working. And same thing. I saw the message from Jared in the Discord, and I half read what he put there. Had opinions, but I was like, I'm at work. So I'm gonna wait till I can read more about this before I try to form an opinion here.
Yeah, like I was at work, and I can only gonna have my phone in like one like place, like getting enough cell phone service to like listen to podcasts or anything like that. So I toned it down to like the lowest resolution possible, and I was in like Dr. Lupo's stream, and he's like, and Poole was like, dude, so you just bought Bungie. And Lupo was like, what? And I'm like, all right, I got to take off that. Like, try to move somewhere else to go download the file that Bungie put out and everything. And just like that day was something I remember for a while, that where I was at when that happened. We will get to more of that. We've been doing a history of Bungie portion on this podcast, and that will actually be taking over that section. So, not Ryan Fox is going to lead us through everything that's going on with the takeover. Another thing that Bungie put out is that there's over 1 million players that have pre-ordered the Witch Queen expansion, and that is going to be a heck of a queue to wait for day one of getting into play with some of that content. So just be prepared for February 22nd. You're going to be in a long line. And then also, Destiny released a weapons and gear trailer. So they displayed 3 exotic weapons, 3 exotic glaives, and another 3 armor, new exotic armors that's coming in the Witch Queen. A lot of cool stuff to break down in that trailer to look through. And they also showed a little bit of the weapon crafting stuff that this TWAB was about. And we're about to get into... we're going to dive deep into the Enclave and try to figure out what we need to do going into Witch Queen and the ins and outs. And we're going to try to teach you and learn along with you at the same time. So the first thing for what you do for crafting is you got to get the Enclave unlocked. And crafting a legendary weapon from scratch isn't a simple matter. You have to find patterns. You have to think of these as blueprints. Collecting materials and building your weapon is the starting point. After crafting your tool of destruction, you'll begin to unlock its full potential through combat. So that through combat is the thing that's going to come up a lot. Basically, just telling you now, if you want your weapon to be awesome, you're going to have to use it a lot. And that's killing enemies and finishing quests and doing playlist activities. So, early in Witch Queen, you'll be given a quest that runs you through the ins and outs of crafting. The first and second missions of Witch Queen, all players, free-to-play players are included in this, will uncover deep sight ability and be introduced to the Enclave. This is where you will shape your first glaive with materials that are given to you when you just arrive at that part of the mission. You will also be given a short tutorial on how to find those materials in the future crafting. A subset of weapons and archetypes will be craftable from the start, but more will be added in the future. Before you shape your weapon, you will need to do some research. So the first step are patterns. They will be acquired from quest completions and various other gameplay objectives. Once the pattern has been earned, it can be crafted at any time, only with the needed materials to make it. After you crafted the first glaive, randomly rolled weapons throughout the game will have a chance to drop a new ability, Deep Sight Resonance. This is the start of being able to craft the specific traits on a weapon. So here's this thing you got to watch out for is the Deep Sight Resonance. So let's say you have an auto rifle that drops with it. And that on the auto rifle, you have a perk Rampage. So if you complete the objective, extract the essence of the perk, and then you can craft a weapon with Rampage or any other perk that increases damage. So that last bit there they talked about in the TWAB here is that, or another perk that increases damage. I don't know if they're saying how you get in here, how you can level up a weapon. So if you already unlocked a Rampage, there might be like a second tier to what Rampage unlocked if you have the weapon high enough level. That's how I'm reading that. Is that how you all interpreted the same?
The first question I had was, is Rampage, is it a one-time use like the mods used to be? Or is it something you unlock forever like the mods are now?
They're making it seem like a forever thing, and it's not. It's looking like it's gonna take some time. They haven't told us how fast the percentages move. So we don't know if it's gonna be like 100 kills, 1,000 kills, like 100 completions of stuff. We don't know any numbers. I assume it's gonna be high, so that they can, and you also have to have the luck of getting the weapon to drop with that perk, so that deep sight can activate on it, so you can actually use it. But it's from my assumptions and the way they're making it sound, is going to be a permanent thing.
Yeah, I'm out there with you, Chad. And the Deep Sight Resonance, they actually gave us a straight example of what you have to do, like what the weapon says on it to progress it. And the direct text says, use this weapon in combat or to complete activities in order to attune this resonance and extract the materials useful for shaping weapons. So to me, that takes it as in like whatever that's unlocking on that weapon, you're using it from that on in weapon crafting.
Yeah, it does that. That sentence does sound more that way, but the first sentence was kind of ambiguous.
Mm-hmm.
But with the second sentence context, I agree. It sounds that way, but that must mean that it's gonna be what, like 2 weeks of using the weapon to extract that perk, like the way we play.
I think it could be a little bit less than that. It depends on. I think it depends on like the XP of the activity you're using, and like how often you're getting kills with that weapon. So like maybe if it's on a heavy weapon, you're not getting as many kills with it, but it's going more based off XP. And then like your primary special, you can kind of focus more on getting those kills a little bit faster.
It'd be pretty crazy if we can unlock Rampage or Kill Clip in the first 3 or 4 days, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then we have it forever.
Yes, that's the way that's feeling like it's the way it's going to happen to me. But they did say not every weapon is going to have like the full assembly of perks, right? So just now, like a few weapons just depend on what activity it comes from. Like you look at column 3 and 4, the playlist weapons have like 10 or 12 options, but then you have the weapons that could maybe some come straight from the gunsmith, and maybe they only have 4 or 5. So depending on what weapons they make available to this and what perks they have, we might be missing Kill Clip for a couple seasons. They might not put it on.
I guess they could space it out.
Mm-hmm.
Save the good perks for the 3rd season of the year, so people stick around.
Yeah, we'll be getting into what they'll be doing with some perks going on in the future seasons. So the next thing we'll get into is leveling your weapon. So once your weapon is crafted, You can increase the level by using it in activities and defeating enemies, just like you do by unlocking the deep sight resonance. So that's also the same way as you level that weapon after you've crafted it. This is where the bulk of your crafting playtime will be, is just using the weapon, and that's how you're going to get it to its full potential. Its full potential will include enhanced stats and traits, granting slight bonuses to your weapon capabilities. And each weapon now will act as a long pursuit to make it the best that it can be. You might change your mind when the weapon, like as you're using it, they will have the ability to reshape your crafted weapon. So in the Enclave, instead of, you can probably be able to deposit your weapon and change one of the attributes out to make it more to what you're liking. All right, all that sounds pretty great to me. That's like the basics of weapon crafting. So you're basically gonna get a random roll and hope that it has a deep sight resonance on it. And then if it don't have that, and you're just wanting to level up that weapon, you just keep using it. All right.
Yeah, it's definitely it's very straightforward there.
Mm-hmm.
It's the random roll drop thing it's still getting iffy to me personally. But
well, I guess
whatever.
Yeah. What if? I mean, right now you go look at it, and you can get these seasonal weapons quite easily between umbles and the end of activities. So hopefully that continues on till you can easily get some of these weapons to drop with the extra perks. And one of the additional things that weapons going to have now is something's going to be called mementos. And at the launch, one weapon memento will be available, and that'll be through Gambit. This Gambit-themed appearance and tracker will rank your weapon. Well, you have to get your weapon to max level in order to tack it onto your weapon. And once you get at max level, you head back to the Enclave and apply your freshly earned memento for some sweet flair. There'll be more mementos to come through trials and grandmasters. There are more plans for mementos down the road, and Bungie is excited to introduce a new in-game rarity cosmetic item for players to chase as they build out their new arsenal and weaponry. So this is something we've kind of talked about a couple times, about giving something for people to chase outside of just like, hey, they won the match in trials, right? Or like there's people that's been flawless hundreds of times, right? What are they actually playing trials for, right? Because they probably have the weapons. There's going to be some fancy cosmetic for the weapon and something new to chase. I think it's going to be really cool. They didn't give us any sneak peek of like what it could possibly look like or something like that. Like I know some games will have like little keychains on the side of the weapon that you can tack on or something like, and then of course it's probably gonna have its like unique shader that you can't even get close to with any of the shaders that's in the game. So your Gilded Dreadnoughts out there could be, can't wait to go get this like Fox, but we have to see what happens.
I mean, I'm right there with him as the Gilded Dredgens, and I'm definitely excited for something to do during my Gilded Dredgen slog, to just help me, get that out of the way. But it's cool. I'm hoping it's similar to what they had before, because they did have like the Gambit weapons had ornaments on them. Like there were, I think like the original Gambit weapons had like 3 different ornaments per each one. It was something crazy. And I'm hoping they do that kind of same treatment for all the weapons. It's definitely going to be really hard to get mementos for all the guns. Yeah. Even for us, it's going to be like it depending on how it looks, it's going to be a real slog. If you're like trying to 100% that, it's like, nah, I'm doing that with the weapons I like.
Yeah.
And even then, the weapons I like might not be good in Gambit. So it's like it might not be a fun time. But I want that Gambit look. I want that snake on my stuff.
Yeah. Here's the thing that's going to get you, Chad. If they lock a Triumph behind getting like let's say it's all 6 Witch Queen weapons to max level, and then you get like an extra triumph, you're grinding that out.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm gonna do it because checking boxes.
Mhm.
As soon as they add triumphs and stuff to it, I have to do it, and I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely cool, and that's something for us to chase in Grandmasters too. Like, I wonder if it's going to be more of a direct route, or if it's going to be some RNG involved in and getting those mementos. It's going to be interesting to see. All right, the next thing in crafting is we're talking exotic crafting. So over this last year, we've had Hawkmoon have random rolls, and then Dead Man's Tale have random rolls. So that's mainly involved the barrels and the stock, and then a trait. So usually, so like Dead Man's Tale always has the hip fire, increased rate. And Hawkmoon has its thing. So the same thing is going to go on with the exotic SMG. Chad, you're gonna have to help me out with this. How to say this? Osteostriga.
Yeah, I think it's osteostriga.
Okay.
Like osteo as in bone.
Okay. That weapon, and then the 3 class glaives will be craftable in some way. And they say here just to think of barrels and stocks that you could have on the weapon.
Yeah, it sounds very much like it'll be just like Hawkmoon and DMT. Very much where like it has its whole like everything, and then you can only like 1 or 2 of the actual other perks are selectable, which is cool. Like I like that. So
yeah, that's definitely going to be a more direct way to get the perks that you're looking for those exotic weapons, because exotic weapons usually should feel a certain way, and you just be able to fine tune it just a little bit to make it more adaptable to you. Because maybe Chad, maybe you want a little more stability being on controller. Maybe I want a little more handling or a little more range, since I can bypass a little bit of stability on mouse and keyboard. So that's a great change going down the road. The next thing we want to talk about here is ritual weapons. They have a little bit of history at Bungie, so we don't have ritual weapons anymore. So back in the day, we had Mountaintop, we had Recluse, we had Not Forgotten, and all those was like things to grind for, that the people that was really good at that activity could show off. But we find out that those was like meta shifting, right? So like, if you didn't have those, you could never be as good as the best players that did have those weapons. So they took those down and made ritual weapons. I mean, a pursuit weapon. Ritual weapons were gone in sunset. So the pursuit weapon that we've gotten over the last years has been Adored, Salvager Salvo, Null Composure, and the Ascendancy. And the goals of these weapons was to give a near god roll of the weapon and a direct path. So it's Bungie throwed out a roughly 70% of a god roll is what they was shooting for with these weapons. They might have went a little bit over the top with Salvager Salvo due to it having chain reaction, and the only special grenade launcher have chain reaction, but they wanted to have it on there, which I love that gun and thankful they did. But it had a little bit of drawbacks, because you can't have blinding or concussion nades on it. So there's still room that, like, it doesn't fill every role for the grenade launcher. It's not a one-stop. That's the only grenade launcher you need. So they're doing that again. This pursuit weapon is going to be called the Reckless, and it will have a new perk called Steady Hands. It massively boosts your handling after a kill, and it'll also have Snapshot. And this is going to be a shotgun. So there's going to be more shotguns that release in Witch Queen that has more sought after PvP and PvE perks. But this shotgun is going to get you pretty close to there until you get one of those rolls, or you get that shotgun leveled up to a place where you can craft the shotgun that you want.
I'm definitely interested to seeing that gun and how it is, because with the last couple ones they have a dual roll, right? Where they have selectables. So we only know of Steady Hands. So I'm curious because I know like Salvo only has like chain reaction and Ascendancy only has the blinding light or whatever it was.
Yeah, explosive light.
Explosive light. So I'm wondering if like since that's like it sounds like very PvP esque
Mm-hmm.
perk, what
Yeah.
the PvE side of that gun's gonna be.
Yep.
Just I'm maybe a 1-2 like a quick
Yeah.
swap 1-2 something. I don't know. And
Yeah.
I'm just curious mostly.
Yeah, that 1-2 punch shotgun to really have a great place in PvE right now with Hammer Titan and what it's doing. All right, the next thing we're gonna get into is origin traits, and this is something totally new that Bungie is introducing to the game. And what this is going to do is it's going to make weapons feel different based on the source. So every weapon that is new or returning in Witch Queen will have an origin trait determined by its source or weapon foundry. This will include weapons in Trials, Iron Banner, and Nightfalls. This will be a third trait column. These traits vary in effect, but the guideline is they either have a high uptime and medium power effects or low uptime and high power. There will be 14 origin traits shipping in Witch Queen, and 3 new traits will come in future seasons. So, example, in season 17 will have one, and then in a raid or dungeon that they introduce, and then also in the seasonal event. So that's 3 new traits that go into like a season 17 and 18 and 19. When Bungie refreshes old weapons from a given source like raid or dungeons or old seasonal weapons, they might introduce a whole new origin trait at the same time. So just like maybe they redo the 7 Seraph weapons, right? So the 7 Seraphs will have like a special origin trait whenever they go to reintroduce those, but they'll also reduce, just say for instance, they're reducing them in season 17. So we might get 4 new traits that season, but the 4th one is just because they reintroduced these weapons. So we have a few of the traits to talk through. They gave us some examples. So one of them from Trials of the Osiris is called Alacrity? Alacrity?
Alacrity.
Alacrity? Okay.
Yeah, I believe.
So this is going to give you, if you're solo or the last living member of your fire team, plus 20 reload, plus 20 stability, plus 10 aim assist, and plus 10 range. And then playing solo includes Lost Sectors and Rumble, for example. That one is huge, Chad. And I kind of upset that it's locked behind Trials, but I guess it gives me a reason to go in there and play.
Yeah, I honestly this season the only reason I had for Trials was reads, and I still don't even have a good reads.
Yeah.
But that right there, doing some solo stuff, like ooh, it's a trait. It's something that's intrinsic. It's an intrinsic perk to the guns that come from these zones. So holy moly, that's gonna be. Can you imagine getting your reads with this also on it, and going through just some solo stuff?
Yeah, I
Just
think
because it's just added on there.
Mm-hmm. Whenever they introduce that, have that solo playlist come around for those few weekends, it's going to be popping off. There's going to be a lot of people that are solo players that's in that solo playlist trying to get some of these weapons to drop. All right, the next one's for Nightfall Strikes. It's called Stunning Recovery. So Stunning Enchant partially reloads your magazine, triggers health regeneration, and improves recovery for a short time. So this grants 60 health instantly and then plus 40 recovery for 3 seconds. I feel like we stun champions all the time, Chad and Grandmasters. This might actually be worth something.
Oh yeah, it's definitely that's I read that one too and was like, ooh, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah. And I'm just, the one thing that might get me with is like I usually always run 100 recovery. So like, is this gonna scale up or am I still capped at the 100 recovery? I guess the instant health bump is always a good thing.
Yeah, that you're gonna be using that mainly for the instant health.
Next one is a Crucible one, and it's called One Quiet Moment. And that's you're gonna get a plus 40 reload stat when you're out of combat. So that means you haven't dealt or received damage for 4 seconds. This one I'm not too excited for. This is more of like, oh, I'm going to hang back because I just got damaged and wait and get so I can reload my weapon. I think this one's a little more of a passive play style, but not for me. And then the next one,
it's definitely a hang back one.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
yeah.
I can't do that. I'm running and gunning with a fusion rifle of all things, so I don't.
And this next one's going to come from Strike Playlist, and it's called Vanguard's Vindication. I always think of Raymond Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine as Vindication.
Yeah.
And then like that gif, I was great show if you haven't watched it. So basically, final blows with this weapon grant a small amount of health, and that's 7 health with a final blow. I guess if you just like you're clearing out thrall, this could be okay on some weapons, just depending on what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely just kill the red bar, get 7 health back. Like if you're low on health and you're just laying about a bunch of stuff, it's helpful. I mean, it's better than not getting 7 health back.
Yeah.
I think that would be nice if you're going against Thrall and you have like a SMG or something. So I am having some technical difficulties. So I think my mic is good and the recording is good, just no video.
Okay. Well, at least we know you're here. That's all that matters. You're here with us. So the one thing we'll cover here about traits is that Nightfall weapons can choose between Nightfall and Vanguard traits. So we just talked about 2 of them, the Stunning Recovery and Vanguard's Vindication. So you might get a weapon drop out of a Nightfall, and those 2 traits are now going to be in that column, well, like the third trait column, and you get to select between the 2 of them of which one you'd rather run. And the same for Trials weapons. Is you're going to have a Trials option and a Crucible trait that drop because you're doing both of those things at the same time. And then Pursuit weapons, that's a weapon that you grind for in Gambit, Vanguard, and Crucible. So it will also have traits from all 3 activities. So that weapon is really going to be, that shotgun's really going to have a lot of ways to just use it all the time in any way you would like. Man, I really hope it's half of what Python used to be. I really miss that weapon.
Oh god, I miss Python so much. That was the one I got a lot of 2-4 punch practice in with.
Yeah. Dude, that overflow, it was overflow 1-2 punch, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, you could roll, you could switch to it and it had like I think 10 in the mag.
Yeah.
Or like something stupid, and it was hilarious. It was so much fun. I love that gun.
So Chad, we also got some weapon foundry traits that's coming back. The weapon foundries, they kind of been like popping up here and now and then. There's never really like they dove back into them, and now they're gonna have like a true identity behind them. And in the TWAB, there was a little, Chad, would you call it a half like lore piece or something like that? With a little conversation with Banshee?
I would call it a full lore piece.
Okay.
It's not a big one, but it's it's good enough, and it makes me happy because it's totally something he would do 100%.
Just you have a little conversation with Banshee, and he'll make you laugh if you read through that. So basically, we're going to talk about some of these traits that come out of these weapons, and the first one's going to be Suros. That's going to be Suros Synergy. And reloading grants this weapon bonus handling and reduces incoming flinch for a short time. That's plus 40 handling and 20% flinch resistance for 6 seconds after reloading. Chad, man, this trait right here, this might be it for me. Like, do you just constantly just shoot one shot out of your hand cannon before you go into an engagement and just get that quick reload in?
Yeah, I read that exactly the same way as you did. And I was like, gosh darn it. I'm not a big Suros fan, but by golly, that's awesome.
And they got a little graphic down there in the TWAB, and they're introducing a Suros hand cannon and a Suros sniper. I know, like,
Yeah.
wasting a bullet PvP and sniper, that's probably going too far, right? And I probably have, like, you can still get flinched in PvE with some snipers sometimes. So that's gonna have a lot of play. This next foundry, Hake, I think you like that one, don't you, Chad?
Hockey's good. I like hockey more than Suros.
Okay.
Just
Well,
a little bit.
I always found Hawkeye just to be a little bit more slower, but that's just me. The trait's gonna be Hawkeye Breach Ornaments, and this weapon deals increased damage against vehicles, turrets, barricades, and stasis crystals. So turrets, stasis turrets, that's extra 15%, and then 30% to structures and turrets. 15% to vehicles and 30% to structures and turrets. So all around is pretty good. You know that the Lucent Brood is going to be throwing down some barricades on us and stuff. So that might be kind of handy to break those down. And Chad, I think we finally come to your favorite, the Amalon. And the Amalon trait is Fluid Dynamics. This weapon has increased reload speed and stability for the top half of the magazine. So stability is plus 20, reload plus 30, and then they reduce as the magazine gets lower. So opening up engagements, you're going to have a pretty stable weapon. The next one is Viced Stinger. I think that's how it's the Vice Foundry.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then
Yes.
And then causing damage has the possibility to fill the weapons magazine. So I'm not sure what kind of Vice weapons are out there. I think they showed in this graphic an auto rifle. That's the one I think that Banshee used to sell back in Forsaken days. So that'd be an interesting perk in PvE, and it's to sustain some damage. And I mean, it kind of could replace subsistence on a lot of auto rifles, kind of in my brain.
Is Widow's Bite, that sniper, is that a viced weapon?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
So like every once in a while we'll hit that grenade launcher meta. Maybe if we could get a heavy grenade launcher that's viced, you could probably put out some decent DPS with that.
Yeah, that sounds fun too. So just like how we talked about the other playlist weapons, Foundry weapons can be in playlists. So they have a graphic here that they have a Soros shotgun, and then a Crucible hand cannon and a Gambit auto rifle that all it's going to come from these foundries. And so if you have a Hake weapon with the breach ornaments and it drops in strikes, where strikes gives you the Vanguard Vinification, again, you're going to have 2 perks in that column 3 to choose from, 2 traits. So it's a lot of build crafting where you could go with one trait, and then when you switch activity, you have the other trait to go with. So how y'all feel about the trait system overall? I think it's a good improvement to the weapons.
I mean, it's definitely a welcome change. It's something that's really cool. Now, is it worth? And this is something that's gonna be brought up a lot. And I'm thinking, I can't see Ryan's face, but I'm assuming he already knows where I'm going. Is it worth losing orbs on masterwork weapons? Personally, to me, it hurts a lot losing the orbs, but getting increased amounts of perks in this way is really cool. Basically, it's a selectable intrinsic trait to the gun, depending on one is the foundry, which is really neat that they did that, and it was an easy choice. After they showed it, I'm like, yeah, that's obviously an easy one. And the source where it's from. and lets them kind of cater it to those sources. So like if it comes from GMs, we're going to make it more of a GM gun. If it comes from Crucible, we're going to make it more of a Crucible style gun. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to be, I'm going to have to test it. But personally, at this moment, I think it might be worth not having the orbs on the weapons to me. But again, because those are tiny orbs anyway, but it still hurts. It's still going to hurt.
The other thing that I try to think about is the obvious place this goes next, assuming that you would think with the acquisition that they would have more staff and maybe we get bigger expansions a la Forsaken or the Taken King coming forward. But what about the factions like Dead Orbit, New Monarchy, Future War Cult? Maybe they have their own perks too, depending upon who you're pledged to. So that could be something else that's added later. It just basically it's a system that opens up more possibilities as opposed to just masterworking and 2 orbs. You know what I mean? So I prefer this much better.
All right. The next one we'll get into is just some overall changes that's going on with weapons. So the first thing is going to be kill trackers. Kill trackers used to be locked behind masterworking the weapon. So now that masterworking is going to be a little bit less important now. So like they say that masterworking a weapon should really make a difference for some high-end PvP players. So people are dedicated to maybe just edging out those those point meter differences. So you really won't have to be dumping a bunch of enhancement cores into your weapon to make it work the way you want it to. It's still going to give you that plus 10 in that stat, or the additional plus 3 if it's an adept weapon. It will still do that with your masterwork it, but you don't need to masterwork it just to figure out if you like the weapon or not, the way it performs, and to figure out if you want to craft more of it or not. Legendary weapon mods will no longer cost Glimmer to slot, just like the armor is a great quality of life change. Special ammo and Crucible is going to have a change. So now whenever you die, if you have special ammo at all, it's only going to drop 1 shot for snipers, shotguns, and fusions. So this, like, I don't know what the exact formula is, but like, say you have like somehow you get up to 10 shots in PvP, and somebody comes back and picks up your special ammo brick that you dropped on your death, they might get like 5 shots or something depending on the scavengers. So now it's only going to be 1. And then if somebody's running a scavenger, they will get that second shot. But it doesn't matter what you die with, because you're only going to drop that 1, possibly just 2. But of course, if you have no special ammo, you're not going to drop any. That's including if you use both your shots. So they're still watching special ammo a lot in PvP, and there's still a lot of it going on. I think overall it's a good change. I think you're going to see a lot more primary engagements for the most part. Some weapon buffs and nerfs here. So the first thing is high impact fusions. And Chad, they're looking at you about this one, I think. So poor bolt damage is changed from 62 to 64. And then basically the PvE buff that it got with when the start of the 30th anniversary. No. The one before with season 15, they got buffed. They're stacking another 5% on top of that. So overall, high impact fusions got a little bit better. And Chad, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a standard high impact fusion should kill on a 3 bolt now, right?
Yes.
Depending
from the numbers that they're posing, it sounds like it's going to be a yes, which means obviously easier kills at ranges, and much more possible double kills at short ranges.
Okay.
They didn't change the charge time. Because they want to keep that kind of a gap so that you still feel like you're using a different gun. But increasing that bolt damage up a smidgen, and then another PV increase for 5% is definitely a good start. and it's something I'm gonna have to feel. Again, I use them pretty much exclusively in PvP, regardless of what season it is.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to tell you right away whether or not it feels nice.
All right, the next thing is coming to blinding and concussion aid grenade launchers. They would just straight up do 25% less damage now. And the reason for this is that it's a pain point in PvP, and then it's also not fun that you can get one shot by them on top of the negative effects that they have. And also they're straight up really strong in PvE. So I think people are still going to use this as utility to blind enemies, even at that 25% damage reduction. But actually a little bit of cost to it now compared to the difference of that compared to a spike nade grenade launcher is going to be like 32% damage difference now. So it's basically only going to be a utility weapon and not really pump out the DPS that it could kind of keep up with before of the standard version. The next thing is rocket launchers. So like I know I brought it up a couple weeks ago. I was like, oh, I want the rocket launchers to feel different. Like it's a cost to the difference, and Bungie knows that the precision frame, which has the built-in auto lock tracking, it's just straight up better because that's an extra perk in the frame of the weapon. So its damage is getting brought down by 5%. High impact rocket launchers are going to remain the same. And then adaptive and aggressive rocket launchers are getting a 5% buff. So it's a little bit of a nerf to the auto locking precision frames, and then a buff to the harder used rocket launchers, which is the adaptives and aggressives. The adaptive frame is the hothead. So that God rolled hothead that's out there with Clown cartridge, be really cool to have it going into Witchgreen. That's all I got to say. All right. The next thing I'm going to talk about is sniper rifle aim assist cones. So it used to be that low zoom snipers had extra aim assist, and on top of that, you could also see more because your zoom is less. And they nerfed the crap out of their aim assist. And then the result of that is that the higher zoom snipers got way more aim assist because you could see less of what was going on. That's kind of too extreme what they went for. So now low zoom cone angle scalar is around 25% larger, and then the high zoom is about 9% smaller. So basically there's going to be a little bit more consistent across the board, but those low zoom snipers are actually going to feel a lot better now and a little bit more sticky compared to what they were before. And then the Acclated Finality, which was like from Iron Banner, the zoom was like 58, which is like the highest zoom sniper in the game, was getting some crazy headshots, especially paired with opening shot. So that's brought down just a little bit, and it should fall more in line and feel more like regular snipers. And then pulse rifles overall against PvE miners wasn't performing well, so they're buffing them up by 10%. So anything there really stick out to you all about regular old legendary weapon changes?
Besides the fusion, high impact fusion bump, like Jared said, the rockets needed to feel different, and so they're doing like the same kind of change they did to fusions, where they want them to feel different. So that's going to be something, again, we're going to have to test and see how it works, see how it feels, because with fusions, they definitely made them feel really different. So I'm hoping that the changes they made here to the damage make it a big difference. I feel like it's based on the numbers, even though the numbers are small, the small differences, they do big damage.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll feel different for sure. But it's something I gotta test out,
I still don't think it's enough for rocket launchers for me. I think we have one frame too many. So like me looking at it right now, I would keep the precision frame, and then the high impact I would buff. Like if they want to keep that as like the gold standard, that's fine. It's a one rocket, And then the adaptive frame has an automatic 2 rockets, but those 2 rockets added up should equal the one big rocket from the high impact frame. That's what I would like to see going forward. But, I didn't have $3.8 billion to buy Bungie and make the changes. So, the next is exotic weapon changes, and there's a lot of them. And we're just going to dive right into them. And this first one here it's quite spicy, and it's really it lit us up whenever we read it. So that's going to be exotic primary weapons and trace rifles are going to do an extra 40% damage in PvE towards miners. And Vex Mythoclast would not be included in this, according to DMG on Twitter. So, Chad, man, there's a lot of stuff we talked about. To me, I was excited for a Whisk Runner. And what weapons did you have pulled up there?
I put up a Thorn with Necrotic Grip is going to be a lot of fun. That Spreading Plague with the extra damage. And then Bad Juju.
Yeah.
Because Juju's going to get that pulse increase of 10% and the 40% for being an exotic primary. So it's going to be like a more precision Huckleberry, but it also charges your super.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of fun because as long as you're getting the right kills, it reloads for you. So with infinite ammo and a 10 and 40% damage buff to red bars, it's going to be fun. Yeah. It's going to be fun again.
Fox, any of those exotic primaries stick out to you?
I'm kind of excited to get in and try all of them out, to be honest. Chad kind of touched on what I was thinking of myself. So the main thing, I don't know if you're going to hit all these individually or not. Lumina, I had told you that it had become one of my favorite weapons to use when I was getting the catalyst for it, especially now that I have the catalyst, and seeing what they increasing the range from 44 to 59 and the stability from 46 to 56. Seeing that on there made me pretty happy.
Yeah, it's one of those weapons that there'll be more kind of these weapon chases that how a weapon used to be a 150 RPM hand cannon, and now it's a 140, and it lacks in so many stats. And that's what they did to Lumina. And I remember you talking about that gun, Fox, whenever I read that. I was like, well, his favorite hand cannon just got even more, it's just got better, and he thought it already felt good.
Yeah, I mean, that, I know it's not like a meta gun, but I quite enjoyed getting the catalyst, and especially with like the healing riffs on the Warlock, and running the middle tree solar with the well, and all that entire class synergized really well with that gun. So I enjoyed it quite a bit.
All right, we'll get into a couple of shotgun nerfs here. First thing is Chaperone. My gosh, this is a long time coming, and it's finally happened. They're reducing its passive range buff from 2 meters to 0.5 meters. That's 1.5 meter range nerf. It's about time, but I see they didn't change anything about the aim assist stat, which this thing's aim assist stat is through the roof for a shotgun, and a slug shotgun at that. You're still going to see a lot of it, but some of them cross-map kills, it's not going to happen quite as often. This next shotgun is going to be Duality. Its Duality was not at the same place Chaperone was, but it was just right on its heels. So they're reducing its passive range buff from 1.25 meters to 0.5 meters. And then the pellet mode is unaffected by this change. And then its intrinsic perk of Black Wings damage buff will no longer clear on a reload. I never really proc that very much in PvP when using that weapon. I procced it a couple times in PvE, and it's okay. But like, if I'm using a shotgun in PvE, it's usually like a trench barrel or 1-2 punch, and not filling my exotic slot. But that's just me. But
it was I really liked it in the dares with when I was going for the catalyst. You could get some pretty nutty like reload times and stuff by getting like the pellet kills and then going for slug kills. Like if you focused on the perk, you kind of had to change. I had to change my playstyle a little bit, but once I did, that gun became really, really good against like the yellow bars and stuff you see in there where there's so many of them.
All right, this next exotic weapon, Teraba. It's been, hit and miss in this community for the most part. I mean, there's a reason a lot of people called it Terabad. And that was the reason because when you stowed it, it lost all of its perk, that those ravenous beasts that it was trying to build up. So now whenever you stow it, it's only going to lose half of the charge that you got stowing up on it. And then in PvP, the ravenous beast duration is going to has a little bit more increase to it when damaging a player, so it should ramp up just a little bit faster. All right, this next weapon, Ruinous Effigy. I think when this thing launched, people had a lot of fun in Seasonal Rivals, and then once Seasonal Rivals ended, they nerfed it into the ground. So they're kind of reverting that nerf. So they increased the damage dealt by guarding with the sphere by 66% and 30% buff against players. And then the sphere multi-kills will now count as orb generation armor mods. Previously only kills with the beam would trigger this. So the orb makes more orbs. So I think that's definitely a fun little thing to pull out every now and then. And then, Trace Rifles all they got that 40% PvE minor buff, so you'll be able to make these orbs a lot easier. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Ager's Scepter. This is a gun that's kind of been build crafted around a little bit recently, and a lot of people has been enjoying it. So they made some changes and fixes to it. They fixed it being able to activate or continuously using empowered mode while suppressed or stasis encased. So basically, if you was in that powered mode, you didn't care what somebody did to you. You're shooting the weapon and moving on. They couldn't do nothing to you. And then they also rebuilt the perk, and it used to modify the super charge rate, but now freezes super charge rate and deducts super directly, fixing several issues with activities that change charge rate and outliers for recharge based on intellect stat. So I think that's tied into how, with the 30th anniversary patch, how supers regen based on dealing damage in PvE, and then in PvP about what weapon you got the final blow with. And then the final thing they did with it, super should now drain more slowly while empowered. I like doing this with the Diamond Lanes build on Behemoth Titan. If you don't have a good headstone IS Luna, you can throw this on there and be just as good, if not better, in my opinion. But it is taking exotic, so it should be better than a legendary weapon with headstone. All right, this next weapon has been tearing up the Crucible since it lost in Season of the Chosen on PC, and that is the Dead Man's Tail. They've toned this thing, they've changed it, they've tweaked it back and forth, and finally is no longer part of paid content, so they're going to nerf it to the ground. And that is reduced the catalyst hit fire rate from 150 RPM to 130 RPM. Fox, you okay over there? You still standing?
Listen, I've really, really grown to like this gun. After probably 15 runs of the mission, I finally got a Vorpal roll, and I've been trying to squeeze one more out before. So every week I've been running it, and I'm not having any luck with that. So it probably should be come down. Oh, I feel like 150 to 130 is a pretty fair change, but we'll see how it feels. At that point, I think it'll still be pretty usable at that rate of fire.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that you can still two head one body with it, it's definitely going to still be very, very good. All right, another one of my biggest pain points was Arbalest and Lorenz Strival is now going to receive increased flinch. Thank the Traveler. You can actually shoot somebody that's trying to lynch driver you and knock them off your head instead of them just staying on your head no matter how many rounds you pump into them.
I'm fairly convinced that gun had 0 flinch whatsoever, and now they're adding in a little bit.
No, the thing was the aim assist was so high, even if it flinched, it still counted. That's what was so bad about it.
It'll still be busted on
I mean,
controller.
it felt like Queen Breaker and Sleeper, like Forsaken, bad.
Hopefully this fixes it. Hopefully they gave it so much dang flinch that like nobody in PvP can stay. You have to aim at somebody's toe in order to hit him in the face. All right. The next weapon here is Forerunner. Basically, they're just buffing up how much special ammo you get from a brick. So if you don't have a scavenger on, you're going to get 3 instead of 2. And then with the scavenger, you now get 5 instead of the 4. It's a pretty fun little gun to use in PvP. I think it's borderline meta. I think in the right hands, that gun can be very, very good. But I think it's still outclassed by snipers for the most part in the range that it competes in.
Yeah, and it's tough because the thing is, you want to take advantage of the free grenade per kill, but you're shooting that thing at ranges.
Yeah.
So like, you're not really gonna be able to unless you're like capping people in the dome ski real close up, and then there's another guy behind him, and you just chuck like switch and chuck the frag, and then it's a tough combo to get off because it's more of a ranged gun. But I mean, some people really got it, you know?
Yeah. Sure.
I think that's that gun is a perfect example of what I think an exotic should be. I think that we have too many exotics, and a gun like that you have to change your playstyle, but being able to do that makes you very effective. I think that's interesting. Like, I wish we only had like 40 exotic weapons instead of 180 or whatever we're at this point. But they were all very unique, kind of like that gun. Lumina is a unique, Dead Man's Tell is another unique one. So Ager's Scepter, I mean, it's not really a PvP weapon, but, you know, I'm just trying to think of the more unique exotics. I wish they were more like that myself.
Yeah, for the most part, they touched most of the major pain points in PvP, all except for Last Word, which I don't know why it has gone too long without being touched again. And hopefully its time in the sun is going away soon, hopefully. So the
They'll
next
probably nerf it for Xbox and PC players, and it'll be a PlayStation exclusive that it stays at its current state.
That's fine. If people in PlayStation only play against each other with that weapon, fine. I just don't want to see it anymore. All right. The next thing you're going to do, they're going to bring up some hand cannons that used to be 150 RPM hand cannons, a lightweight frame, and now they're adaptive frame with a 140 RPM hand cannon. So Dire Promise is getting 4 range, 3 stability, and a -4 to aim assist. Waking Vigil, 6 range, 5 stability, and then a -3 in aim assist. Jack King Queen 3 is getting 3 range, 3 stability, and -8 aim assist. Spare Rations, +4 range, +4 stability, and -9 aim assist. So my question to you all, why are they messing with Jack King Queen King 3 and Spare Rations? Are people really concerned about using those sunset weapons?
Dude, you know there's nerds that do it, and I wish they would nerf them into the ground to get people to quit using them.
Hey man, some of us have weapons that have really high kill counts that we need to keep getting up, you know, and then these guns need to be leveled out so that we can keep using them and have fun. But yeah, no, it's just bringing them up for the people that still have them, and that's it, because they can still use them in regular Crucible.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you know, you're not taking them into Iron Banana. but you can still go into 6s and mess with them. So
Here's my only other thought: is that they're bringing spare rations to be a reprised playlist weapon in Gambit, because everybody's going to get in there and start playing Gambit if a spare rations is in there. And then they're also bringing back the Season of the Dawn weapons, which included Jack King Queen, and that's why it's getting its stat bump, as that these weapons are coming back. Should I go get my tinfoil hat?
you're
Open up
being very
No,
much
Drink some
Ryan right now.
copium, but what is it?
You're probably right. Truth be told.
I think it'd be cool. Hopefully they do that. All right, this next weapon they're giving a change to is Fellwinter's Lie, and that has been the shotgun since it came out. And its intrinsic perk has made that shotgun very consistent when all of those shotguns are consistently inconsistent. So basically, it's going to have a plus 15% to spread angle of the pellets. So that one hit kill distance is coming way down. So it's still probably be a decent shotgun, but it's nowhere near what it used to be. And I think this final change here, it's something I didn't really see coming at all, and that is the Aquilas SMG outperforms all other SMGs in its class. So what they're doing to it, they're giving it +1 zoom, but a -5 to range, a -7 to the stability, -8 to handling, and -5 to aim assist. I'm not sure what was really going on with this SMG. I didn't think it was breaking anything. I knew like a lot of people liked it, but I didn't think it warranted this kind of change.
No, they already massacred my boy by hitting the cells, and now they wanted to kick him on the way out, and it makes me mad. But I haven't used it this entire season for that exact reason, because Warmind cells just aren't a thing anymore. They're okay. Like if you're using them for protection, like making them sturdy and then making them so they have that like zone of less damage for your fire team or for like heals, cool. But don't use them. You don't use them to kill anything anymore. You just use them for buffs and debuffs. But since I haven't used him, I haven't touched. I haven't. He's been sitting in the vault, lonely, and I look at him every once in a while. I go, you know what? We had good times, didn't we? And they're hitting them, and it's sad.
Yeah. All right. The next thing we'll go into here is perk changes. So the first perk up is Hip Fire Grip. They want players more easily build into the Hip Fire Grip mode. So it now increases damage fall off and damage end distance by 20%. Basically, it's going to fire longer and more efficiently from the hip. But this will not change on shotgun, sniper rifles, or fusion rifles. And then also, according to DMG Last Word, is not a part of this buff. Well, we'll see what happens. Lines got twisted before, and things got buffed when it really shouldn't. So hopefully Last Word doesn't get any better than what it is now. That's a game-breaking hand cannon. All right, next perk is Adagio. They're going to increase its duration from 5 to 7 seconds. Increase damage bonus from 25% to 30%, except for on bows and fusions. It will now add +10 to the range. And then a timer is also added to your screen, the text of how long the perk is going on for. For overall, this is a really good change. And I'm not sure it's going to make it more sought after than Rampage, but it actually might like give people some thought before they craft their weapon, I guess, if they give this perk a try. All right, the next perk here is Dual Loader, and I think Fox has liked this on some shotguns here and there, and they're actually giving it a buff. The reload stat penalty used to be 50, and now it's going to be 35. So you'll get that double reload off just a little bit faster.
I do like that dual loader. That's a good perk. Very slept on.
All right, this next perk is Danger Zone, and this is on a lot of grenade launchers. So there's a lot of risk to running this, and you could do a lot of self damage. So they changed the scalar for grenade launchers to self-inflicted damage from 1.25 to 0.75. So a 50% reduction. That's awesome. So hopefully you kill yourself just a little bit less often with a grenade launcher if you shoot somebody point blank or an enemy point blank. All right, tap the trigger nerf, but this is only for fusions, and they have been all over the Crucible as of recently, and that Zur ingredient with the under pressure tap the trigger is really the most used fusion rifle. I think the last weekend in trials, it was the weapon with the most kills, which has been a long time since the fusion rifle was number one. So now what Chapter Trigger will do on fusion rifles is reduce stability bonus from plus 40 to plus 10, change max recoil angle scale from 0.5 to 0.875, change the error angle scale from 0.9 to 0.975. That is just not going to be as good. So maybe you might want to reconsider some of them fusion god rolls, but I think it's still going to be a good perk, but it's not as crazy good as it used to be. Clearly. The next thing is Headseeker. Extended the buff duration from 0.17 to 0.3 seconds. This is something I've never used. Did you all ever use this Headseeker?
No, it was an instant shard for me.
I saw on a YouTube video that it was bad, and I don't even remember why it was bad or who said it was bad. So I just delete everyone I ever get.
Isn't it the perk that was initially on the Fate of All Fools? Like it was the exotic perk that was on that, where
I thought
like
that
damage
was
to the body.
Desperado or whatever.
No, it was damage to the body increases damage to the dome ski.
Yeah, that's what the perk does.
Yeah. That I think that was the Fate of All Fools perk.
Okay. So maybe it's
Chad, you're right. You're right, because Jade Rabbit, the perk of it on Jade Rabbit is called Fate of All Fools. So you're definitely right.
Okay. So I mean, I don't see myself looking after this perk, but I mean, maybe it's good enough now to where you start hitting the body, then move to the head, like old Halo ways. Like you do so many shots to the body, then do one to the head. I don't know. All right, this next perk, Eager Edge. Oh, this is gonna hurt. Reduce the lunge distance benefit while airborne by 25%, and will now cap players' airborne velocity. Is still fairly high value, but you will be capped. The reason they did this was that they want to keep some areas in the map and loading zone areas secret and keep people from getting to them. I know last year people Ubered into the raid and all that stuff, and it kind of got spoiled if you wanted to seek that out before the raid was actually out for Deepstone Crypt. So they're trying to keep some of that stuff from happening. And lastly, about perks here, they're shelving some perks. Basically, you're just not going to be able to get them on new weapons. And that is Bottomless Grief, Celerity, Underdog, Shield Disorient, and Air Assault. Air Assault really hasn't been around since like Season of Opulence dropping on weapons. But that Air Assault might get a redesign in the near future. I don't think anybody here is sad to see Bottomless Grief or Celerity go on those Nightfall weapons, are we? And those Trials weapons? Yeah.
Nope.
All right, the near future. Season 17 will have a PvP-focused weapon changes and also a new way for players to build into more flinch resistance. And then balance tuning for primary weapons, and they're mainly looking at pulse rifles with the lightweight frames. Special weapon tuning. They'll still look how these changes have set for sixes and see how if they need to make any more changes. Then adjusting how zoom outliers perform on weapons, both low and high. So, that's why Saru's Wrath and Multi-Mach CCX outperform all other SMGs. It's because the zoom with certain scopes is 1.7 or 1.8. So that's kind of how those weapons are competing in a meta that's it's dominated by the 140 hand cannons for the most part, and they're kind of breaking into that. So they're taking a look at that. So hopefully they keep SMGs up just a little bit without taking those down. Be interesting what they do for those, and then also taking a look at the exotics. All right, it's the year of the tiger, the Lunar New Year. So there's some new items in the Eververse for you to go check out. If you have some silver you want to spend, if you're into that. And then the last thing we really talk about here is what's happened in the night before the Witch Queen drop. And so Destiny 2 servers will go down at 9. Wait, hold on. I don't want to screw this up. Okay. It will go down from 7 p.m. on February 21st. So that is 10 o'clock Eastern. Servers from Destiny 2 will go offline. It will not be up until the launch of Witch Queen, which is the 22nd at noon Eastern Standard Time. So as we talked last week, we figured they was going to be doing this, and hopefully they got them servers ready to go for more than 1 million people are going to be trying to log on that day and play some Witch Queen.
It's looking like it's similar to what they did for Beyond Light.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a very smooth launch too, comparatively to years prior. So hopefully they learned from they keep learning from each year to year. And it goes by pretty smooth, Obviously there's gonna be wait times. They even say it, there's gonna be wait times.
Yep.
There's gonna be a queue. But hopefully you once you get into the you don't get booted and have to wait again, because I know that happened to a couple of homies of mine. But it's one of those things where every year it gets a little smoother, and I just this year I'm like, I just want it to be like what happened to Beyond Light.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, I'm happy with what's going on today.
Yeah.
So if it's even close to that level, I am good.
Are we not supposed to tell people about the content creator server to where we don't have to wait to get online?
Well,
Ryan,
I mean,
we don't even have access to that yet.
I guess you didn't share that email, bud. So I didn't get it. All right, the final thing from the TWAB is that a volunteer in Germany, Seraphim Crypto. I don't know if I said that right or not. He passed away. So pouring out. Rest in peace to Crypto, and thanks for all the help that you've done into the Bungie community in Germany. And you will be missed by DMG, and much love. So overall, DMG did an amazing TWAB. So much information. I think he tweeted out. It was like over 6,000 words. And as far as I remember, we did this for almost a year. That's the most I ever typed out for a rundown. And I got to one point where I couldn't type anymore. Started copying and pasting. So
you made it so far before you started copying and pasting, though.
Yep. So overall, I like the changes to the sandbox, and weapon crafting seems very cool. Do you think they left out anything in weapons tuning that you would like to see?
I mean, it's off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. The changes to heavy fusions, again, like I said, are going to be something I'm going to have to test, but I'm happy that they did something, because like I'm used to heavy fusions and I've gotten used to the charge time, but anybody that's not used to them,
Mhm.
it turned them completely off from using them at all because the other ones are just easier to use and more rewarding currently. So like I don't need Glacier Chasm. It's bunk. I don't need it. It's bad. It's bad. It charges so slow. You die in half the time it takes to charge the gun. So it's
Mhm.
that is what I'm happiest, and that was the only thing I would have thought of saying
Yeah.
is change heavy fusions.
I kind of thought there would have been some kind of PvE buff come to some kind of DPS meta. Maybe we'll just wait and see what the artifact has. But I thought like some kind of test of grenade launchers because I feel like they don't get used at all, and maybe snipers could have got touched up a little bit. I just thought there might have been something coming, but they didn't. So that's one thing that surprised me. All right. Do you all? Yep. All right. So that's it for the TWAB. And next is the future of Bungie and the roundtable discussion about what happened on Monday, Fox and Sony.
Is it that? Or are you skipping one thing?
What am I skipping, chap?
What's above it?
Oh, weapon parts.
Not the weapon part. Oh yeah, the weapon parts. We haven't done that yet
no.
either.
I see it now. It's the lore. My
Yeah.
bad, Chad.
Oh
I'm
my
just
goodness.
so ready to hear Fox.
I'll just go back to my library and sit there with my crayons.
All right, what do you got for us lore this week, Chad?
Well, based on what Jared warned me about in the morning, it's obviously going to be very light. I'm not going to be doing much reading. I'm not going to be doing anything of that. We're going to do some speculation here, some light speculation, just sprinkle it in there. And the first thing I wanted to say is the trailer that dropped on Tuesday gave us some weapons. It gave us a little hint of the crafting. It gave us some weapons. It showed the Osteostriga, and then it showed the new legendary for the season pass, the Grand Overture, the Slug Launcher, and then it showed the glaives as well, and then the Worm Eater. I can't remember the name on that one at the moment. All I could remember is that it eats worms, and that is enough to make me happy. Um, but based off of the Grand Overture and the fact that it's the season pass gun, we already know that we have the Heir Apparent, which was given to Kydal. It was kind of like one of those things. But it's a Cabal heavy slug thrower. So that is the one of the guns that the Colossus uses. We already have another gun in Vanilla D2 that we got that it was repurposed for human use, and it was Cabal as well. It was the Legend of Acreus, which is a Cabal slug shotgun. Um, so seeing that line of thinking going on where humans were able to wield these guns, seeing Grand Overture go, oh, okay, that's the other Colossus gun, the one that's not the minigun, the one that shoots you and can murder you in one shot if you're playing a GM. Um, Even if it passes by you, if that thing swings past you, you can still die. Um, but seeing that and seeing that it was the season pass gun, um, kind of because it had the Kydal symbols on it, the blue and gold. It had those little half circle, like those symbols that she has on her banners, um, kind of adorning it. So I was like, it already looked like the Cabal slug launcher. So I'm like, okay, it already looks like a Cabal gun. And then it even then with the symbols on Kydal, I'm like, okay. So earlier in this in Season of the Chosen, we talked about Kydal a little bit. We talked about what happened with Tora Bottle and how that their entire Cabal homeworld was absolutely decimated by Zivu Arath, who was sent there essentially not really sent there but tricked to go there by her sister Savathun. Now knowing that she is a trickster god and is deceitful and clever, she did that in order to send all of the Cabal off world to our soul system, so that they could come here and then meet with us in order to probably create an alliance. That's more than likely in her line of thinking, seeing as how she was Osiris at the time and was very pushing for it very much so. And seeing that Osiris was pushing for it even enough for Lord Saladin, who is as grumpy and as stubborn as he is, for him to lament and give up on it and say, you know what, you guys do whatever you need to do. I just want humanity to survive. And Osiris pushed him to that point where he gave up fighting it. Now, there's a point earlier in this season, one of the book Ripple, where Keitel actually finds a gigantic hive ship coming through. They already had set up. They had 6 Cabal ships, and then her flagship just launched this gigantic attack on this hive carrier. And it was in the Dreaming City. So we saw this happening. We heard from her point of view what was going on, and then we saw it from Marsav's point of view, from her watching it from the distance. So this is all happening during this season. So we also know that the Glycon is floating around Mars. We know that because of what happened, and we know that big old Daddy Callus is off in the ether doing whatever he wants. But he parked that ship around Mars because it was an anomaly. We also know that Mars is where we're going. Not because of lore, but because they told us. Bungie has told us we are going back to Mars, and in the most recent trailer, she even says on Mars, you found the Enclave. And so we know we're going there. In the trailer for the weapons, there's also a couple of different armor pieces. They show some of the seasonal armor, I believe. And one of them, the Hunter has the Scion Flare mantle on, which you guys know comes from the Dust Palace strike, the one where you could get the 3 different flavor Scion Flare mantles, the Void, Arc, and Solar. So since we're going back to Mars, it's like, are we getting that part of Mars back, or are we getting like a different part of Mars back? Like, is it like a repurposed D1 Mars that's been turned into her throne world? Is that what's going on? But seeing the Scion mantle come back, it's a nod to D1 Mars. I know people have been asking for it for a long time, so that might be the case, just because it's a cool cloak, you know. But all these things are nods towards a Cabal being a major front runner for the season. And I'm excited about that. Keitel's a great character. You know, and maybe there's going to be more about Callus that's coming in, a little bit more talking about him and wherever the heck he is. But I'm excited about that, because I said it even near the end of Season of the Chosen that she is a good character, and I want to see more of her. And I'm excited that is a very high possibility.
Oh, that's awesome. I think so. That slug launcher, Chad. It's probably gonna be a heavy weapon, right?
Yeah, it's more likely going to be heavy.
Yeah.
Because all the Cabal weapons are too big for
Yeah.
humans, and they're all heavy. I mean, even their shotgun to us is a heavy weapon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. I guess the only thing we gotten from them was the little
The
slug
scout?
launcher. Yeah, the scout rifle.
The little scout one, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because that's a legionary weapon. It was the
Yeah.
little guy. Even in their hands, it looks small. It looks like a submachine gun when they're holding it.
Mm-hmm.
Cabal, I love Cabal.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, more Kaido stuff sounds great. Also, I mean, at some point we gotta get their home world back to them, right?
I mean,
wait, which one?
I don't know if they turned it into a war moon or what they did to it, but it got destroyed.
Oh,
man.
It got destroyed. Oh, okay.
I don't think it got completely blown up like a Star Wars shooting the Death Star at a planet kind of blown up, but I think it got glassed like a Reach kind of glass, where it's just you can't. There's nothing can exist on it, live on it anymore.
Okay. All right, Fox. You've been sitting back there in the shadows, just waiting to unleash the beast. The future of Bungie.
Yeah, so we have been doing the history of Bungie, but based upon the events of the past 3 to 4 days, I decided maybe the future of Bungie would be more appropriate this week. My voice is getting terrible again, so I apologize. This probably won't be as long as it normally would have been. But we do know that on Monday, Bungie released a statement saying they had officially joined Sony. So my first reaction is, oh my God, they joined the devil. I am not a fan of Sony. I'm not a fan of their practices. They do have awesome games. There's no doubt about that. But they wall off everything as exclusives. They don't put things on PC until 2 or 3 years after launch. Just look at like Horizon Zero Dawn or God of War or the other zombie game that they have that I can't think of at the moment. I'm sorry. But and it was for a little over $3 billion, which coming off the Microsoft Activision acquisition, which was like $67 billion a couple weeks ago. My first thought is, what is Microsoft doing? Why didn't they nab Bungie up? So Jared's the one who notified everybody in our group chat that we have. I pull the car over and get on Twitter and start looking around. And I see Jez Corden, who works with Windows Central, who tweets out that Bungie actually asked Microsoft for less, LOL. Meaning that they were willing to take less initially to work with Microsoft and still somehow ended up with Sony. My initial thought was afraid of, they put out like an article directly after talking about how, I'm just going to read it. It's probably going to be the easiest way. We believe games have limitless potential and that they do anything, and that to do anything worthwhile in entertainment, we must bet big on our vision, on our studio, and on our incredible team of trusted creators who build unforgettable worlds that truly matter to people. And Sony Interactive Entertainment, SIE, from this point forward. We have found a partner who unconditionally supports us in all we are and who wants to accelerate our vision to create generation-spanning entertainment, all while preserving the creative independence that beats in Bungie's heart. Like us, SIE believes that game worlds are only the beginning of what our IPs can become. Together, we can share a dream of creating and fostering iconic franchises that unite friends around the world, families across generations, and fans across multiple platforms and entertainment mediums. Today, Bungie begins our journey to become a global multimedia entertainment company. They go on to say that they remain in charge of their destiny. We will continue to independently publish and creatively develop our games. We will continue to drive one unified Bungie community. Our games will continue to be, where our community is and wherever they choose to play. With SIE's support, the most immediate change you'll see is an acceleration in hiring talent across the entire studio. And then they put a link to where you can apply to work with Bungie. This is a note that came from Pete Parsons, who is the CEO of Bungie. There was a hyperlink in there when they said that they control their own destiny, and that took you to a page to where it's a message from Joe Blackburn and Justin Truman, who are over the Destiny at this point. It says, one community, multi-platform, Destiny 2 will stay on all current platforms and expand to new platforms. Self-published, creatively independent. Bungie maintains full creative control and publishing independence of the Destiny universe. And then same game everywhere. Every player should have an amazing Destiny experience no matter where you choose to play. We then have a couple of FAQ questions, which I think are pretty sus how they were answered, to be honest with you guys. The first question, as a D2 player, does Bungie becoming part of PlayStation have an immediate impact on how I play and experience Destiny 2? No, our commitment to Destiny 2 as a multi-platform game with full crossplay remains unchanged. We want you to play the Witch Queen on February 22nd on the platform of your choice. Question 2. Will the Destiny 2 experience on non-PlayStation platforms be impacted by Bungie becoming part of PlayStation? No, we want to maintain the same game experience you already have on your platform of choice. Number 3, will any announced seasons, events, packs, or expansions be changed or impacted by Bungie becoming part of PlayStation? No. Bungie retains full creative independence for our games and our community. Our plans for the Light and Dark saga are unchanged all the way through the final shape in 2024. Will Destiny 2 The Witch Queen include any platform exclusives? No, the Witch Queen will not complain. Well, notice it says no, the Witch Queen will not contain any platform exclusives. Doesn't talk about the future. Every player should have an amazing Destiny experience no matter where they choose to play. Will cross-platform features like cross-save, cross-play, the D2 companion app, or third-party apps like Destiny Item Manager be changed or removed? No, Bungie's commitment to cross-platform play and social features remains unchanged. Next question. Bungie has future games in development. Will they now become PlayStation exclusives? No, we want the worlds we are creating to extend to anywhere people play games. We will continue to be self-published, creatively independent, and we will continue to drive one unified community. Last question. I play Destiny on Steam, Xbox, or Stadia. Will my platform still be supported? Yes. So at this point, a lot of articles start coming out kind of later that evening. And you start seeing some things like this is more for taking these IPs into like film and television shows, which sounds great. And, Sony does have they do have their own like television studios and things. So that could be good. They also mentioned that the main purpose behind this acquisition is that Bungie has been the only console live service game that has been a success. And apparently Sony has a couple in development based upon that article, and they want to use Bungie's expertise to help them with those other games that are in development. Initially, I'm in this group text, I'm firing off hot take after hot take, talking about how thinking about how it was in Destiny 1, we didn't have the whole game. We were the second-class citizens of Destiny. At least that's how it felt. And that's because Activision had struck a deal with Bungie because, Sony rather has a giant hole in their first party of no first-person shooters. They used to have Killzone, SOCOM, Resistance, and all those games are gone. MAG was another one they had. They don't have anything like that. And we know that the Microsoft over the last year and a half has picked up they obviously have the Activision deal that got them like Call of Duty, Overwatch, blah, blah, blah. Before that, they had the ZeniMax deal, which had like id Studios. So they got Doom, Wolfenstein, and a couple other, obviously Fallout, Elder Scrolls, those type of games. So, the way Sony's business has been the last 10 years, and this is coming from somebody that follows the industry. I'm not in the industry. I have no desire to be in the industry. I just love games. But Sony does one thing well, and that's like third-person action games, and anything that they don't have in their catalog, they go out and purchase like exclusive rights to. So they'll get that console exclusive Final Fantasy VII remake. They will go out and get the exclusive home for not the exclusive home. They have exclusive content for Call of Duty. They have in the past got multiple other, like exclusive deals to kind of cover the holes in their catalog. And Microsoft's approach has in the past to be, if we don't have it, we'll just go buy it. So it's two approaches to get to the same thing. It just makes me really nervous. That first night, I was pretty aggravated. And then the next day, they put the tweet out saying that they had 1 million pre-orders of the Witch Queen, which gets me thinking there's no way that they can take this game or really make it not multi-platform. But what we might see in the future is like, let's say, like Matter, whatever that, assuming that that is the hero shooter that we think it is that going to be exclusive to Sony? Now, they have been saying that they are still a multi-platform studio. I personally believe multi-platform means on your PlayStation or on your computer. I don't imagine Xbox is going to get that. If they do get it, they're going to get a watered down. It's going to be much better to play it on a Sony console than a Microsoft console. So I want to open it up to you guys and let you guys talk for a little bit about your thoughts on the whole thing.
Yeah, so all of Monday, I felt like somebody beat my puppy. I was down in the dumps thinking that this might be like the last year of Destiny, of us playing together. Like, we're going to branch out to other games because we won't agree on something to play together, because Destiny is just like, it feels so much of your gaming needs. It's in Destiny. It's PvP, it's PvE, it's playing with friends and raiding, it's solo content. But I just started coming around to thinking that I was going to pull an office quote, right? So, like, Robert California had a list of winners and losers. He said, winners, prove me right. Losers, prove me wrong. I've thought Sony has been a loser company for the last 20 years of my life, basically. It's time for them to prove me wrong. If they make one thing exclusive to PlayStation, one raid, one weapon, you get to play a day early on PlayStation, I'm out. The only thing I can live with is cosmetics. If they get those some cosmetic whatever to PlayStation users, I'm fine with that. But anything beyond, it's over.
Could you imagine a Warlock chest piece that's just a PlayStation 5?
I'm fine with that. I don't care.
Yeah, no, I know. I'd crack up. But I mean, I had the same initial thought. Like I said, I was at work and I didn't really want to make an opinion until I heard more from the companies themselves individually and did more reading on my end. Because hot takes for me are not. I like to make I like a more scientific approach where I do my reading, I look at something, and then I try to form a biased, obviously because it's my opinion, but a more educated opinion.
Do your own
But
research is what you're saying.
exactly. But Sony has a bad track record with me, especially since the only Grimoire card I don't have in D1 is because the gun didn't come out until months after D2 came out. And I'm going to make a point to never go back and get the gun because just bad words. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not going to do it because just out of principle, that's just nonsense. It's nonsense that should never have happened, and Bungie had to honor that because of Sony. Sony could have been like, "Oh, your game's coming out, and our contract for that weapon ends a couple months after that." It's like, well, you know what? 2 months before the game D2 comes out, you can release it to everybody. They didn't. They said, "No, you have to stick to that contract to the letter." And so Bungie's like, "All right, I guess we have to then." And and they did. They stuck to it. They didn't release that console exclusive weapon. I think what was it, like 2 years? Two
Was it Zen
years.
Meteor? Was that the one that was the
Zen
last one?
and Honk Moon. I think it was. But like it was two guns. It's two guns that I never got to play on D1 ever. And I'm not going back to get them just out of principle. And that completely soured me, like, just, oh man, it was horrible. I couldn't, like, I'm not, no. I liked PlayStation, and ever since like the D1 exclusives happened, I made it a point to not get any Sony. I haven't played any PlayStation exclusives since PS2 because of that, like that moment. I'm like, I'm not buying another PlayStation because I was thinking about a PS3, but I'm like, no, like I
Dude,
like this
what
game.
I'll
I
say
can't.
is their games are awesome, but I'm only gonna play them when you bring them to Steam.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna play them on Epic Game Store. I'm not gonna buy your console to play them.
And
I will gladly give you
the dumb
$50 to play the other games whenever they
the
come to Steam.
the part that makes it so dumb is you can make so much like what happened when they put Horizon Zero Dawn and like they put the God of War trilogy on Steam, right?
No, not the
Like
trilogy,
no, the trilogy,
just
just
the newest
yeah,
game.
just okay. So the newest one. How much
Yeah.
money do you think they made off of just doing that?
Oh, they've made $110 plus tax from me off those
Yeah,
two games.
yeah, exactly. And we're telling you our opinions on Sony are not positive, and that's all it took for Ryan to buy the game. Is oh, it's on Steam, sweet. And that's it. Regardless of his opinions of the company initially, he didn't care about that. He's like, cool, I can play it on a PC. I'm good. But if it's a console exclusive, it's like I'm not buying that. I out of principle, I'm not buying a console just to play that
Exactly.
one game. I'm not doing
Yep.
it. Like,
And dude, like I was a Final Fantasy kid growing up. Like Final Fantasy VII, I would love to play the remake of that game, but they bought console exclusivity. And then whenever they came out with the um whatever the like complete edition of it is, integrate or whatever it is, um, they extended that console exclusivity. And then they put it on Epic Game Store because Sony has a deal with Epic. So they own like a small percentage of Epic. So, I'm just, it irritates me. I don't trust them. Monday and Tuesday, I was mother effing a lot of people in the group chat that works at Sony and Bungie. And, it's going to take like 5 years of them not doing anything I don't like before I have trust in them as a company. Because for the last 10 years or so, they have like I don't like their practices. It infuriates me. And then, I look at Bungie and I'm disappointed. We have the history of Bungie to where they're independent company, then they sell out to be like a Mac exclusive. They go to Macworld. Microsoft comes in, offers them more money, so they become a Microsoft studio, and then they get out of that contract by giving up the Halo IP, and they're independent and talk about how awesome it is, and then they partner with the scummiest company, publisher that there is, in Activision, and then they get out of that, and the whole way out, they're smearing Activision. Um, not directly by name, but they had the Beyond Light or Shadowkeep. Was that the first one that they were independent with? I think it was. And they're making remarks that are about Activision without saying Activision. That was kind of a wink, wink. And they're independent, and everybody's doing great. We think, and then and now this comes out of nowhere, and we learn that it had been what Jared, was it like a year or 9 months or something, that there was like a picture of the Sony Interactive, like the head of Sony Studios sitting with the Bungie dudes, that this was kind of being hashed out. So this isn't like in 3 weeks they threw this together to battle Microsoft with that the Activision thing. This is something that's been in the works for a while. It probably brings a little bit of clarity as to why that came off of Game Pass and everything on the Xbox consoles. But Destiny 2 is too far into its life cycle for them to change things up. Think about like Minecraft. That's a game that's been out so long. You can't take things away once people have them. That's when things get bad. That's why everybody is so negative about the Destiny content vault and sunsetting of weapons and things. But in the future, Sony's not going to go out and spend, we might as well call it $4 billion on Bungie to let Microsoft Xbox players be able to play it. Just like whenever Microsoft bought ZeniMax, what was it, $8 billion that they paid for them? I want to say that's just really off the top of my head. But they didn't buy them to put Starfield and Elder Scrolls on Sony consoles. You know, it's the same thing. The biggest positive, I guess, is that like Tencent or one of those companies didn't buy Bungie, which Bungie already has $100 million investment from NetEase. If you remember, that came out several years ago. So I don't know, man. I'm sure that people that hold stock in Bungie were really happy whenever that deal went through.
Yeah, I'm sure they made out quite well. A few things like I've like thought about over the last few days is that how much did COVID play a part in this, right? So like they delayed Beyond Light and they like double delayed Witch Queen, like as you look back, and then by having 2 delays, which could have equal to, I'm looking at like 5 or 6 months difference.
Right. Projected income that wasn't coming in.
Yeah, that set them back in a way that they couldn't recover. And then also I think so Xbox and PlayStation has this arms race going on right now, right? So is it going to be like the Cold War where they're just staring at each other and they're waiting for one of them to make one of these titles exclusive? And then it's just a domino effect that, well, we'll make it on next game exclusive now too. Like it just takes one of them to go. It takes Microsoft being the Call of Duty in 2025 is exclusive. It's then Elder Scrolls 6 is exclusive to Xbox. Like is that the first thing that's going to happen? And then Bungie has to fall in line with Sony's directive of making stuff exclusive too. That's my fear. Is that it's going to be a staring match, and then whenever the first one goes, it's going to be the downfall.
Well, I think we'll find out a little bit because Starfield is allegedly coming out this year. I don't believe it, but that's what they keep saying. And that game is going to be console exclusive to Microsoft. But the good thing about Microsoft when they own stuff is we get to play it on PC as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the issue. The other thing is Sony has this their Game Pass competitor, Project Spartacus, is what it's being called, and they're gonna have to have. Sony has zero interest in putting day one releases, like day and date, onto their service, because they sell millions of copies of got all those exclusives. That's where they're making money. So having a game like Destiny with all expansions being included could really bolster that their Game Pass competitor. The best thing for us as 3 people that play on PC is that there's not a competitive shooter these days that is viable unless it's on PC and console. There's no console exclusive competitive shooter. And Bungie, if I had to guess, would be a competitive. They're going to be making a shooter. So that's probably our best thing. Now, we might not get, we might see some split as far as PlayStation players get early access to this or something, but I think we would still be able to play the game on PC.
Yeah, you look at, PC has a lot of shooters. It's probably the biggest one is CS:GO. Like CS:GO is only on PC. It just can't operate on console for various reasons, and Valorant's like that too. That really just makes me think because those are probably the two. like two of the most watched first-person shooters that I can think of.
Yep. And then like MOBAs as well, like your
Yeah.
Dota 2s and your League of Legends. So,
So
which
I
I
think
want to
there's-
say that like those games are owned by like Tencent or one of those, right?
I don't know.
Is it? Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that the parent company of one of them is owned by one of those.
Mhm.
I'm really embarrassed that I can't. Is it Riot Games?
Yeah.
that
Riot's
makes
got
it?
Valorant. Yeah.
Yeah. They're owned by like one of the communist
Oh, okay.
party things. So
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna wait around and see for Sony to prove me wrong. I think that's just like where I'm at now. What I had to like tell myself. It's like I'll give them a chance, right? But
yeah, I'm there with you, but I'm not buying near as much silver as I used to. You know, before I would be like, oh, they're just a little independent studio. They need my $30. But Affians is kind of how I really feel about it at this point. So
I'm still excited for Witch Queen. I kind of had to start turning my mind over to that. So if if they pump out great content and make a great shooter, I think it will go a long way.
Yep. So I think that we're kind of wraps everything up. Make sure that you follow us on Twitter at Des2Fellas. Sign off.
Yeah, this weapon crafting stuff is going to be a lot, and we'll go try to dive into it rather quickly in Witch Queen. Maybe get a day or two ahead of you. That by the time we're doing podcasts that week, we can tell you our mistakes so you don't make them.
Yeah, we'll try to make a as efficient path as possible. It's going to be a lot of just playing to get rolls so that you can grind out the perks that you want. But we'll get a lot of hands-on time before the first pod there and get that as efficient and figured out as possible so that we can answer questions for that.
Go Cat.